Nicholas Fish II was born on February 19, 1846, in New York City. He was the eldest of 6 children born to Hamilton Fish and Julia Urson Keene Fish. His father held several prominent political positions, including Governor of New York, U.S. Senator from New York, and Secretary of State under President Ulysses S. Grant and Rutherford B. Hayes. Fish's siblings were Sarah Morris Fish, Julia Keene Fish, Susan Lee Roy Fish, Hamilton Fish II, Stuyvesant Fish, and Edith Livingston Fish. On his mother's side, Fish was related to several notable figures, including his maternal uncle, U.S. Senator John Keene. He was the great-grandson of Continental Congress member John Keene and Susan Livingston Keene, the latter being the daughter of New York State Treasurer Peter von Berg Livingston. His mother's family had connections to the Wadsworth, King, and Dewar families. Fish's paternal lineage included his grandparents, Revolutionary War veteran Nicholas Fish and Elizabeth Stuyvesant Fish, a descendant of Peter Stuyvesant, and the daughter of Margaret Livingston Stuyvesant. Fish pursued higher education at Columbia University, earning a Bachelor's of Arts degree in 1867 and a Master's of Arts degree in 1871. During his time at Columbia, he joined a fraternity of Delta Psi. He later attended Harvard Law School, where he received a Bachelor of Laws degree in 1869. After graduating from law school, Fish began practicing law in New York City before transitioning to a career in diplomatic service. In 1871, he was appointed Second Secretary of Legation in Berlin, later becoming Secretary in 1874. During his tenure, he frequently acted as charge d'affaires in the absence of his chief. From 1877 to 1881, he served as charge d'affaires in Switzerland, followed by his appointment as U.S. Minister to Belgium from 1882 to 1886. Returning to New York City in 1887, Fish joined the banking firm Harriman & Co., located at 120 Broadway, where his brother Stuyvesant Fish served as president. In 1894, following his father's death, Fish became a member of the New York Society of Cincinnati. He later served as the Society's president from 1901 until his death in 1902. Fish was also actively involved in the New York Historical Society and joined the Union Club of the City of New York in 1873. In the 1896 presidential election, Fish served as presidential elector. In 1869, Fish married Clemence Smith Bryce, the daughter of Major James Smith Bryce. Clemence was the sister of Lloyd Stevens Bryce, a U.S. representative and U.S. minister to the Netherlands, who was married to Edith Cooper, the daughter of New York City Mayor Edward Cooper. Fish and Clemence had 2 children, Elizabeth Fish and Hamilton Fish II. Fish was fatally assaulted in New York City on September 16, 1902, following several hours spent with 2 women at the Earhart Brothers Saloon, located at 265 West 34th Street near 8th Avenue. According to the New York Times, the women he was with were well known in the vicinity and lived on West 34th Street between 9th and 10th Avenues, often accompanied by 2 men, including a jewelry salesman. Fish sustained blunt force trauma to the head after being struck while leaving the saloon. Thomas J. Sharkey was convicted of manslaughter for the attack and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Fish was laid to rest at St. Philip's Church Cemetery in Garrison, New York. In 1903, his widow sold their Irving Place home, and she passed away in 1908. Franz Edmund Krefeld, originally from Germany, arrived in Oregon under unclear circumstances. He first appeared in Portland in 1903, where he became active in the Salvation Army. Later that year, he was sent on a mission to Corvallis. Shortly after, Krefeld parted ways with the Salvation Army and established his own religious group, which he named the Bride of Christ Church. Local townspeople viewed the group as a cult, mockingly referring to its members as holy rollers due to their practice of rolling on the floor for hours during services. When Franz Edmund Krefeld arrived in Corvallis in 1903, his initial sermons focused on the beauty of the full gospel, raising little suspicion. However, his followers soon came to believe he was receiving direct messages from God. Krefeld delivered marathon sermons, and his followers would roll on the floor, loudly pleading for forgiveness. As these disruptive meetings extended into the early morning hours, city officials banned Krefeld from holding services within Corvallis city limits. During the summer, Krefeld and his followers camped on Kigger Island in the Willamette River. When fall rains arrived, Sarah Hurt, along with her children, Maud, Frank, and May, some of Krefeld's most devout followers, invited him and about 20 others to live in their house near Corvallis. In October, the group burned much of the home's contents, including furniture, utensils, heirlooms, a cat, and a dog, in what they believed was an act of purification. Rumors of a baby being sacrificed were later debunked. Speculation about Krefeld's behavior escalated, with townspeople questioning whether he could live in the same locked house with a number of young girls and do nothing but be religious. By January of 1904, tension boiled over. A group of 20 vigilantes known as the White Caps tarred and feathered Krefeld and ordered him to leave town. The following day, undeterred, Krefeld married Maud Hurt in a room still smelling of pine tar. In February, Krefeld was accused of adultery with Maud's aunt, Donna Starr, a criminal offense at the time. A warrant was issued for his arrest, sparking a statewide manhunt. While Krefeld remained in hiding, his followers fasted, lay in prostrate in prayer, leading many to be committed to the Oregon State Insane Asylum or the Boys and Girls Aid Society in Portland. In July, a month after Sarah Hurt was institutionalized, Krefeld was discovered naked and emaciated, hiding beneath her house. He claimed his innocence, but was convicted of adultery and served 17 months in the Oregon State Penitentiary. Upon his release, Krefeld declared himself Jesus Christ resurrected, equating his emergence from prison to a divine resurrection. Krefeld also claimed responsibility for the devastating 1906 San Francisco earthquake, a declaration his followers wholeheartedly accepted. Krefeld is Jesus Christ, proclaimed follower Cora Hartley. He condemned San Francisco and caused the earthquake. He has also condemned Corvallis, and an earthquake will destroy this place. Obeying his command, the group evacuated to the coast in anticipation of divine retribution. In April, Lewis Hartley, a wealthy miner, pursued his wife, Cora, and daughter Sophie to Newport, where they had gone to meet Krefeld and his followers. As the group prepared to board a ferry, Hartley fired 4 shots at Krefeld with a revolver. However, the gun misfired because the cartridges were incompatible with the firearm. With multiple people intent on harming him, Krefeld fled to Seattle with Maud. There, George Mitchell, the brother of follower Esther Mitchell, confronted Krefeld in public and fatally shot him in front of witnesses. Multnomah County District Attorney John Manning later wrote to King County Prosecutor Kenneth McIntosh, expressing sympathy for Mitchell's actions. Manning described the charges against Krefeld during his time in Oregon as low, degenerate, and brutal, adding that taking the law into one's own hands in such circumstances was almost excusable. McIntosh, however, was appalled by Manning's remark. O.V. Hurt, Krefeld's father-in-law, retained a prominent Seattle law firm to defend Mitchell. During the trial, witnesses testified about Krefeld's controversial teachings, including his free love doctrine. They claimed Krefeld preached that Christ would be reborn and that one of the brides of Christ would become the new Mary, requiring him to purify them through physical contact. Testimony included allegations of mothers being defiled in front of their daughters, including Sarah Hurt and her then 16-year-old daughter May. Witnesses further stated that Krefeld had declared Esther Mitchell, also 16 at the time, to be the new Mary. Many suspected that the testimony was perjured, crafted to paint Krefeld in the worst possible light and essentially put him on trial posthumously. Ultimately, George Mitchell was found not guilty by reason of insanity and released. 2 days later, Esther Mitchell, using a gun purchased by Maud with their witness fees, fatally shot her brother George. Devastated, but still loyal to his family, O.V. Hurt hired the same lawyers who had defended George to represent Esther. Before the trial concluded, Maud died by suicide. Esther was found not guilty by reason of insanity and committed to the Western State Hospital in Steilacoom, Washington. Esther was released from the asylum in 1909 but died by suicide in 1914.